have this for later for those of you who either would like to reference it again, or if Kasia would like to send this to anyone who couldn't make it today. So I just want to thank you all for joining today, and sorry that the sharing situation took a little time. The demo demons are hopefully at rest now that they've had some fun with me. And I just would like to say that I hope that everyone here and all of those close to you are all healthy and safe. And I would like to start with some requests that will make the flow of the presentation move along easily. Perhaps Kasia already shared this with you, and hopefully also you're seeing the Polish translation or subtitles as I speak down at the bottom of the screen. So the first thing is, please post your questions in the chat, either in English or Polish, it's fine. I can't see the chat, unfortunately, but we'll answer them either as we go along. Kasia will read them out to me, or if we're going to address them later in the presentation, then we'll just, we'll say that we'll hold off till that part, if that's okay. And if you haven't downloaded Snap Core First, that's okay, because you can just follow along today, and the session will be recorded, and as I had mentioned, and you can access it later. So this is a step 1 presentation, and if you like what you see, we can plan a step 2 based on your feedback.
Więc jest to pierwsza część, takie wprowadzenie. Jeżeli będzie zapotrzebowanie, to chętnie zrobimy bardziej szczegółowe szkolenie z tych programów. I proszę zadawać pytania w czacie, ja go tutaj cały czas obserwuję, możecie zadawać pytania po polsku albo po angielsku.
Okay. So a little bit about Tobii Dynavox, in case you're unfamiliar. What is Tobii Dynavox? So the company started in 2001 out of the garage of 3 Swedish entrepreneurs. And today, Tobii Dynavox is the leader in eye tracking communication devices and AAC software, including software that you know, like Boardmaker and Communicator 5, and now Snap Core First. So Tobii Dynavox is the AAC and assistive technology business of Tobii Group, which is comprised of 3 businesses, so Tobii Dynavox, and Tobii Pro, which is our consumer marketing and research business. And the last is Tobii Tech, which is focused on gaming and consumer products and laptops. So we are based in Sweden and in the US with approximately 420 employees across the world, with representation in about 65 countries, and we have 120 partners working with us in local countries such as Kasia from Atabi in Poland. And we're really excited to be here with you today.
Więc szybciutko o Tobii. Tobii składa się z 3 części tak naprawdę. Tobii Dynavox, Tobii Pro i Tobii Tech. Jest też Tobii gamingowe. Nasze jest Tobii Dynavox i oni się nami opiekują, a w Polsce ja opiekuję się państwem z ramienia firmy Atabi. Done.
Okay. So a little bit about me, for those of you who don't know me. My name is Idalie Fernandez, and I am a New Yorker based in Stockholm. My background is in media and advertising, and I moved to Stockholm in about 8 years ago. And I started working at Tobii Dynavox in April of 2019, so just a little bit over a year ago now. And I'm the account manager for the Baltics and Eastern and Central European countries, including Poland. I am a newbie to AAC and assistive technology, and I'm here today to share my learnings, our learnings, and also to learn from you. So thank you for your participation in that.
Więc Idalie pochodzi z Nowego Jorku, od 8 lat mieszka w Szwecji. Kiedyś zajmowała się reklamą i marketingiem, a od roku jest w firmie Tobii i cały czas się uczy. Uczy się bardzo sprawnie i bardzo się pięknie nami wszystkimi opiekuje.
So I think many of you know Kasia, have attended one of her trainings or her webinars, or you've seen her in the Polish AAC Facebook group, which I recently joined. So thank you for letting me in, those of you who are members, and those of you who are not members, you should join. Perhaps Kasia can share the link with you in the chat to the Facebook page. So Kasia is a very experienced speech and language pathologist, the owner of Atabi, and the reason why we're all here today. So I'm super grateful to her for having organized this webinar and having presented me to you. I hope that we can do this in person someday in the near future or in the not so distant future. In the meantime, here we are, and it's not such a bad way to connect. But Kasia is your local contact in Poland, and she has one of the biggest hearts. So you're in great hands with Kasia and Atabi for any of your communication needs. I don't think you need to translate that one, do you?
No, I don't think so. I have to.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to get to know you a little bit as well. I know it's a little bit hard, so we're gonna do a little thing called Menti, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'd like to know who's joining us today, so I'm gonna show you how to access Menti on the next screen.
Chcemy Państwa poznać i zapraszamy do Menti. Na telefonie albo na przeglądarce proszę wejść na stronę www.menti.com i nasze hasło na dzisiaj to jest 14 86 27.
Okay, so if you go to menti.com and you use the code that you see on the screen, you can access it, and then you can tell us a little bit about you. And I will try to make this work. I'm going to leave this up for just another minute so you can get out your phones or access it on your web browser.
Możecie Państwo wejść na, do czego serdecznie zapraszamy, bo chcemy wiedzieć, do kogo mówimy. www.menti.com i kod 14 86 27.
Can you see that? Kasia, are you able to see the Menti screen?
Wtedy klikamy Submit i stworzymy naszą chmurę. Także www.menti.com 14 86 27. Czternaście 86 27. Mamy dużo nauczycieli.
Kasia, are you able to hear me? Can you see the Menti screen?
Yes, yes. And we can see the results coming.
Great.
Także
So it
widzimy.
looks like, oh, sorry.
I think I wanted to say the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, but it looks like we have a lot of educators here today, some psychologists, speech and language pathologists, and a parent. It's always really interesting to see who's joining us, so this is really helpful information and fun.
Zawsze bardzo tutaj śledzimy te wyniki i patrzymy, kto do nas dołącza. To są bardzo pomocne informacje, ale też nam pozwala na kontakt z Państwem. Także mamy dużo nauczycieli, rodzica, logopedę, psychologów i
Okay. So thank you all for sharing. That was it's really fun and informative to see who's with us. So now we're just going to minimize that and go back to the presentation. Okay. Okay, can you see that well? You should be seeing the agenda now.
Yes, we can see it.
So we're here today to introduce you to Snap Core First, and we're going to take a brief look at the Core First methodology. We're going to share why this evidence-based approach works, and we're going to talk about the Tobii Dynavox ecosystem, specifically Snap Core First and the development behind it, so to give you an understanding. And during our presentation today, we will dig in so you can learn how to quickly get started with Snap Core First and pair it with other resources like Boardmaker.
It's clear.
So did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So this is the Tobii Dynavox ecosystem, and we put the user in the center because she's really the focus of our goals, which are to surround her in an environment of consistency, starting with our symbols. So it's to provide her with the opportunities for the most success. So the symbols are present throughout the emerging learner software. I may call her a user, I may call her a learner, and those are sort of synonymous throughout the presentation. So just so you know who I'm referring to, I may also call her the communicator. So the symbols are present throughout the software for the emerging learner, and it's to express language through our communication devices and hardware, and the content and the resources that are implemented by everyone in the user's network, from school, home, therapy, also to the network of parents and family, to educators and therapy professionals, getting everyone on board for a consistent environment to optimize her language development in all different settings. The content and the resources that are available are to help motivate, teach, and develop language to her potential or her greatest potential. So I think you know PCS, but for those of you that don't know PCS, it stands for Picture Communication Symbol. And we talked a little bit about symbols, but really this is the heart of our software. And it was started over 30 years ago by Boardmaker, or at the time, Mayor Johnson. And they're still ever present in our software today. They are, we'll show them to you now. They're easy to learn. Or actually, we'll talk a little bit about what they are. So we have 4 different types. We have the classic, we have the thin line, and the thin line is really for a more mature, a person with a more mature taste or preference, so an older user perhaps. We have thin line education, which are used in an education setting and are very specific to topics you would cover in a school environment. And we also have high contrast, which are for those with visual impairments. So they're easy to learn, they promote growth, they help make the communication efficient for the user. They are flexible, providing a variety of topics to talk about. And they're culturally contextual, where we have local PCS libraries with words like Eiffel Tower or Bigos. Hopefully you know what that means, or hopefully I said it right so that you know what that means. And today we have over 40 or more PCS country libraries and counting. There will be more of them. So these are a really great tool that we have across our software that enable the user to communicate. So now we'll look a little bit at the Tobii Dynavox portfolio. You know, we talked a little bit about the goals of the ecosystem, so I just want to familiarize you briefly with the portfolio. So these are our communication software, and whether the person is a symbol user or transitioning to literacy or already literate, our communication software is here for various stages and for the support system around the user. Therapists, family, caretakers, and the user, him or herself. So Snap Core First was created with symbol users in mind and to grow literacy. That's the ultimate goal. And we'll talk more in depth about it later, since that's why we're here today. And Boardmaker is our education platform, enabling educators and families to create printed materials that facilitate that communication. Communicator 5, it's a powerful communication tool, and that's the blue one on the bottom left. It converts text and symbols into clear speech and offers tools for Windows access, such as email, text messaging, telephone, environmental control, and more. And on the right-hand side, we have computer control. It's one of our newer software, and it is a new intuitive way of interacting with and controlling your computer via eye tracking. And it's designed for individuals with physical disabilities and communication challenges who want to make full use of their computer independently. So today, we're going to talk about these two, but mainly Snap Core First. Oops. Which is a focus on symbol users. So this is our full eye tracking portfolio, and our software is paired with one or more of these communication devices, and they can accommodate different types of access needs or a mix of access needs. Whether it's for mounting or carrying or eye gaze or touch, they're built for users with varying motor and speech challenges. So now we'll just take a look at the different groupings. So these are the touch devices. So on the upper left-hand side, we have the Indie and its little brother, the i7 or the Indie 7, and they're both entry-level portable communication devices. On the right-hand side, we have the i110, which is the bigger and more robust and rugged medical-grade touch device. So this device is really meant for active users, and it can take a beating. If you toss it, or if you drop it, it will not break. And I've tried. And I mean, of course, there's nothing that's impenetrable, but it really takes effort or falling on the wrong angle on a rock maybe to break it. But this device is also covered by TD Care, which is our warranty. And if a user breaks it, they will get a new one. Underneath, so the last of the devices is the speech case for the iPad. And it comes in two sizes today, the 9.7 inch and the 12.9 inches. So it is a protective case with loud speakers that are very clear, making the iPad more durable for really active users. And it's a really big difference in terms of the sound. So if you've ever turned an iPad up to its fullest volume and you're in a noisy environment, such as a restaurant or anywhere, the sound isn't as loud. It almost sounds like in a noisy environment, that is, it sounds, you know, barely audible. Whereas with the speech case edition, not only is it protected and more rugged, so it can take more of a beating, but it's also significantly louder. It comes, so the speech case has its own speakers making it louder, and it does add protection to make the iPad more rugged. We will soon be releasing the newest speech case for iPad, I believe, at the end of June. So that's also very exciting for those who have just bought the newest iPad. So each of these touch devices can be mounted or carried.
Idalie, I'll just make a quick resume, okay?
Yep.
Więc tutaj Państwo widzicie trzy rodziny rozwiązań, jeżeli chodzi o dotykowe urządzenia. I mamy Indie. Indie występuje w dwóch rozmiarach, 10 i 7-calowy. Ten 7-calowy jest naprawdę malutki. Jest to tablet z dodatkową baterią, z dodatkowymi głośnikami, przeznaczony do AAC. Jest iSeries w prawym górnym rogu, ale też przede wszystkim są speech case, czyli to są takie dodatkowe obudowy w 2 rozmiarach do iPadów. Dużo się pytań na ten temat pojawia. Zapraszamy do kontaktu. One są, oprócz tego, że wzmacniają samo urządzenie i stanowią obudowę, stanowią zabezpieczenie, to jeszcze mają dodatkowo właśnie głośniki fantastyczne, które zamieniają po prostu standardowe iPady w fajne narzędzia komunikacyjne. Dziękuję. Thank you.
Okay. So now we'll look at some of our eye tracking devices. So in the middle of the top, we have our smallest portable eye tracker, the PCI Mini. And underneath it is the longer one. It's the PCI Plus. Both of them can plug into a Windows tablet or laptop with a USB connector. And on the left-hand side, we have the iMobile Plus, which has a built-in bracket to support a tablet, and it comes with speech recognition, switch, and IR, or infrared, for hands-free access. And on the right-hand side, we have the newest of the family member that just launched in October of last year, which is the latest iSeries device. And it's a purpose-built, fully integrated medical grade device. It comes in 2 sizes, the i13, which is the smaller one, and the i16. It features the partner window, which is a second screen on the backhand side, which displays the message that the communicator or the user wants to convey. And that enables true face-to-face communication and independence. So in other words, if a user is having a conversation and they're using their partner window because they can choose not to, but typically they would want to, then the user, the communicator, the person, the recipient of the communication is facing the user because they can read the backside of the device with the screen that's on the backside. That's called the partner window. And now the user for the first time can have like a genuine real face-to-face communication that maybe before wasn't possible because people would stand behind them and read their screen and maybe take away their ability for privacy. So this is a really great new feature that we've just launched, and it really does give independence. So all of our devices can be carried or mounted.
Tutaj Państwu szybciutko przegląd przez eye-trackery. PCI Mini najmniejszy i najbardziej popularny, PCI Plus, iMobile Plus i iMobile Mini, czyli te 2 urządzenia dołączone do tabletów i ze specjalnym mocowaniem, i iSeries. Wszystkie oczywiście mogą być przenośne, można mocować, montować, co jest bardzo ważne. Okay.
Okay. So that was an overview of the tools and the resources within the Tobii Dynavox ecosystem. So now we'll take a look at the methodology behind Snap Core First. So why Core First? Why it works? We'll talk about why it works, that it's evidence-based, what that means, and also evidence to reality or in real life practice. So it's designed, Snap Core First is designed to help you with certain challenges like time. It's flexible and it's easy to use. So that's not a challenge. The user is supported, or sorry, it's difficult to get started. And that's not the case because it's very easy to get started. And in terms of time, it's flexible and easy to use and to edit, which we'll see today. The user is supported with literacy, engagement, and growth. And the team is able to participate to make it work in everyday life. Oops, sorry. The software is designed to be easy for communicators and their communication partners, and it helps communication grow and evolve in the, it helps the communicator evolve and grow in their communication journey. So now we'll talk a bit about why it works. We have an experienced team that researched core language, and that initiative was led by the device content team, which consists of 5 SLTs or SLPs, 3 technical content developers, and 1 UX designer. That was with the consultation from training, educational content, sales, the technical and software teams as well. And the development process had very clear steps. We gathered evidence, analyzed and applied information, tested, and then repeated the process again. And then finally, we localized with the goal, or with a focus on the goals of the philosophy, organization, and vocabulary. So now we'll take a look at those. So I mentioned earlier that it is evidence-based. So now we'll take a look at how that was achieved and how it was accomplished. So scientific evidence was used. It was researched and consulted during the development process. Over 1,000 articles and books on speech and language pathology, developmental psychology, linguistics, applied behavior analysis, special education, and diagnosis-specific sources on different conditions like autism, spectrum disorder, cerebral palsy, aphasia, etc. were also referenced. And the client perspective is really important, and we referenced that as well during the research process. We consulted with augmented communicators or users, which are the same person, family members, friends, professionals without specific expertise, and each either experienced or had experience with varying diagnoses. So we took all of this information into account to create what we thought was a tool that would be very useful for symbol users in particular. And when we look at the characteristics of a symbol-based communicator, we looked at the range in age from birth on, different diagnoses, and a variety of different physical and sensory abilities. Our goal is to introduce and improve vocabulary, sentence structure, social interactions, and repair strategies for any age learner to ultimately reach their full literacy potential. And what we know about the needs of the communicator is that we want them to have successful face-to-face and distance interaction regardless of their language level. We want them to reach their potential in literacy, in relationships, in academics and vocation, and so forth, to have knowledge and communication partners that can facilitate communication and literacy in real-life situations in the present. And, sorry, my toolbar gets in the way. In the present, and to encourage ongoing growth.
Idalie, sorry for just a second. Can you get back to the previous one?
This one?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Myślę, że tu jest wszystko czytelne dla Państwa, oprócz mojej jednej literówki, za którą bardzo przepraszam, ale samo mnie rozbawiło w czytaniu i pianiu. Chodzi oczywiście o czytanie i pisanie, o rozwój pełnego potencjału również w tym zakresie. Thank you.
You're welcome. So there are challenges for the symbol-based communicator, and some of those are related to myths. And, you know, one of them is they're too impaired. I'll just post them all on the screen. Maybe they're not interested. They're too young. And I'm not saying this in order because it's in Polish. So these are some of the common myths that we face today everywhere. So AAC has not only been found to positively impact children's language, but also cognition and reading skills. And with AAC, children's participation in developmentally important social, educational, and play environments increase as well. And this is according to research from Branson and Demchek. So they're never too old, too young, or too impaired. And when we look at not interested, one of the things that is quite engaging is that we, as humans, we like to talk about ourselves. And we do that 60% in a conversation and 80% in social media. So there's intrinsic value in the act of self-disclosure. When you look at an MRI, it revealed, some researchers looked at an MRI and the findings were that it revealed activation in areas of the brain that were associated with primary rewards like food and physical intimacy, and engaged brain regions associated with the rewarding outcomes. So we know that not being interested is a myth. There's a reward value in sharing about oneself, and the effects are magnified by the knowledge that one's thoughts would be communicated to another person.
Idalie,
So, oh, sorry.
Just a short resume, because it's so super important what you were saying. Tutaj pojawiają się pewne mity na ekranie, z którymi się Państwo na pewno też, jak i cały świat zderza, jeżeli chodzi o AC. I oczywiście nigdy dziecko nie jest za małe lub za duże, żeby wprowadzić AC, czy nasz użytkownik. Po prostu trzeba to zrobić umiejętnie, z odpowiednią metodyką, ale też to, co Idalie powiedziała, 60% naszej komunikacji według badań jest komunikacją na nasz własny temat. 80% w mediach społecznościowych jest komunikacją na nasz temat. Mówimy o sobie. Wyniki badań w tomografii komputerowej i w rezonansach magnetycznych bardziej wykazały, że jeżeli mówimy o sobie, to pobudzane są te same ośrodki, jeżeli chodzi o nagrodę i o wzmocnienie, które są pobudzane podczas jedzenia. Także opowiadanie swojej historii, coś co uwielbiam też mówić na ten temat, jest bardzo ważną funkcją komunikacji. Tutaj jeżeli chodzi o AC, bardzo ważne jest dostarczyć takich materiałów, żeby nasz użytkownik mógł mówić o sobie. Thank you, Idalie.
You're welcome. So we'll look a little bit more closely at too young or too impaired for AAC. We start talking to babies months or even a year or more sometimes before they start to speak, and we don't expect, especially in the outset, we don't expect anything back from them. We just talk to them. And we don't wait until a baby is 5, because then we expect something from them at that age, but we don't wait till they're 5 before we start talking to them. So we also don't stop talking to a baby if you know, he or she doesn't respond right away, or if he or she doesn't say the right words or the order of words. We begin communication from day 1, and we don't expect it to be perfect. AAC has shown not only a positive influence on language, on play and cognition, but also on reading and writing ability. AAC also increases a child's participation in important social, developing, and play environments. So this is all research-based. And it's never too early to start, and everyone has that right to reach their full potential. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about that within Core First. So the power to fulfill your potential. We use the core word strategy to promote literacy for all communicators at all ability levels. It's designed for easy customization and consistency, and you can start communicating immediately. The learning curve is very, very short. So within the Snap Core First ecosystem, we're going to look at engagement, growth, and literacy. We talked about the Core First strategy and how it was researched and developed. And now we'll look at other tools that develop that literacy, starting with the emergent literacy, which is a step and conventional literacy being the ultimate goal. So with respect to engagement, we look at quick fires and topics, which are circled on the bottom green. They're circled in green on the bottom left of the screen. They allow our learner to engage in meaningful conversations using formulaic language. And if you don't know what formulaic language is, it's those chunks of language that we use all day, every day. And they allow for social engagement and interaction. It's about 70% of speech, and it's conversation that you don't think of. It's very natural and sort of, if you will, even pre-programmed in your brain. And this is as opposed to novel language, which is speech or language that's created word by word, and it requires a lot more thought. So an example of formulaic language is if someone says to you, "Hi, how are you?" And then without really thinking about it or skipping a beat, you'll respond with, "I'm good, thanks. How are you?" Another example is if you're in the store and the sales assistant approaches you and asks, "Can I help you?" You don't think about it. You say, "No, thanks, I'm just looking," unless you're actually looking for something. But so this communication, again, it's pre-programmed, and it's the ones that you use all day, every day. It's 70% of how we talk. So on the right-hand side, oops, sorry about that. On the right-hand side, on the top in yellow, we have topics, and those are context specific so that they allow us to engage in meaningful context specific conversations like bowling or going to the zoo and animals. And next, we're going to look at our growth strategy. So we have two key ways to grow an AAC system. And this was also researched by Duchovny and Asha in the US. Both strategies require work with modeling, of course, and continued motivation for optimal success. The first strategy that we're going to look at is location-based, and that's on the top. And it begins with a large number of buttons, and you fill in the buttons systematically as the user is ready for more content and more vocabulary. The second approach is size-based. So you begin with a smaller number of buttons, which are much larger, and the buttons themselves are much larger, and you add buttons systematically as the user or the learner is ready to take on additional vocabulary. So Core First can accommodate both of these strategies, and that facilitates procedural memory. So now we'll look a little bit more closely at location-based growth. So as I mentioned, you begin with a pre-selected grid size, and you hide the buttons that the user or the learner is not ready yet to acquire. And as the person is ready to acquire more language, you add more buttons. And the buttons will always stay in the same position so that the user is, it's more familiar to the user. And the grid is filled in when you add more. So this is location-based growth. And I'll show you how to hide and reveal words and buttons a little bit later when we get into editing. So the second strategy is size-based. And you can see that you start with a smaller grid size, so 4 buttons in this case, and then you add on more buttons, but and ultimately you can build from 1 button to a grid of 80 buttons, and each button maintains a relative position as the grid grows. So the user will always see them in that relative position as it's filled in around them. And this maximizes, in both strategies actually, they maximize what was learned at the previous level. And there's no one else in the industry who offers both strategies for the user. So when we look at literacy, the core word set, it's a systematic growth and based on current research with additional tools to develop higher level language learning and literacy skills. And Snap Core First has a focus on core words, which you'll see on the home page. So what you're looking at now is our home page or the core words page, which is highlighted in the navigation bar on the left in a green outline. It's the tool that's most implemented, Core First that is, it's the tool most implemented in the field of AAC today. And it uses a modified Fitzgerald key that supports the idea of sentence building from left to right, and pronouns are yellow, verbs are green, descriptive words are orange, and blue words are question, or blue, the blue buttons are question words. Core words are not only high frequency, so as I mentioned, that formulaic language which you use over and over again, but they're also very flexible. So the word more, for example, can be used at mealtime, you want more food. It can be used during playtime, you want to play more, and it can also be used in math and in many different environments or in many different contexts. So we offer all of this to our user. And one of the best things about Snap Core First is that it is cross-platform. It works on touch devices, it works on tablets, it works with eye tracking, all access methods and combinations of access methods. And so we have this really great tool which is cross-platform for the user. So now we're going to talk a little bit about this wonderful family, the Comptons. So here we're going to meet the Comptons. And Erin, the mom, and Adam Compton have 14 children. They adopted 2 little boys from China, Philip and Arthur. Both of them are from an orphanage in China, and they both have CP. So Philip, he's the one sort of in the middle wearing jeans and like a brown sweater with glasses. He uses an Indie, and his brother Arthur on the rightmost child with jeans and like a checkered shirt, and I think maybe suspenders, he uses an I-110, which is the medical grade device. So we're going to learn a little bit about their experience, and I want to talk about the importance of modeling. I think as some families don't realize how important their participation is to the user or the learner's success. And when the device or the software appears, after they've bought it, they think it's just magic. And the expectation that their part is done is sort of what happens. But that's when it really begins. And the device and the software together, or just presented as such, are not magic. The magic is when the participation and the modeling happens and the learning begins. So we're going to take a look at what the Compton family has done for their kids, and we're going to look at 2 examples. If you want to check out the Comptons family, they have a YouTube page, and they also have their own page on Facebook where they post a lot about their journey. So if you go on Facebook, you can find them under Lots of Comptons, just as you see on the screen. But I think I'll post a little bit more about it later, so in case you're interested in following them. Okay, so I hope this works, because this is where I usually get a challenge, but this is a video about figuring it out and having natural opportunities and modeling. So here Erin talks a bit about her experience starting off with Snap Core First on an Indie as their communication system. And I think she's just maybe a week or 2 in using it here. So it's very new for her. And she demonstrates her modeling techniques using motivation, which is essential to engagement. And it does provide a path to success. So I hope this works. Asha, can you hear it?
We are now on our 2nd week with Indie and the Tobii Dynavox Snap Plus Core First software, and we're really enjoying it so far, so I wanted to give an update. You make it Go.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you could hear the video, and I accidentally pressed something when I was trying to find the chat. Could you hear it, Kasia?
Yes, we could hear the video. So
okay. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. So let's get back to the video.
We are now on our second week with Indy and the Tobii Dynavox Snap Core First software, and we're really enjoying it so far. So I wanted to give an update about what we've been doing and how the process has looked for us. So the first week was mostly all about becoming familiar with the device and the software, how to input, how to move things around and edit. I've learned that with this device, for the beginning, I'm actually having to educate myself. My husband is educating himself, and it's more about us learning how to use it instead of Philip learning how to use it, because our job is going to be to show him how just by using it in front of him. The Pathways app was wonderful. It's something that I think everyone in the family is going to learn from. We're thinking it's super important for all of us in the home to be trained and to know how to use the device, because it's basically a whole other language that we're learning. We're also looking for a way to schedule a training with Philip's therapist at our home-based therapy program here in our town, where he does his weekly therapy sessions.
Hands on his feet, on his eyes, on his nose, beep, beep, or on his mouth. Where should we put a baby?
In the Pathway app, there was a section called Top Tips, and I went through that myself and kind of self-diagnosed a few things that I was doing that probably weren't the most helpful for Philip to learn. There's a difference between modeling, which is showing him how to use things just by using it myself, or quizzing. And maybe that's the homeschool mom in me coming out, because I'm used to showing my children material and then having them show it back to me by the process of quizzing, and I was using the device in the same way. Secondly, what that was setting up was him again needing to be prompted to use it, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to have him learn to speak without us telling him to say a word or to point and touch something. So I can really see how just modeling is going to help prevent that from starting up again.
Let's watch. Watch for cars. See if there's a car over there. It's coming. Do you see that car? Is that our car? Are you sure? That one over there? No. That's not our car. That one's not ours.
And then the other great thing that I took away from that was presuming that he knows how to use it. And I caught myself thinking it's too hard, he's not going to be able to do it. But if I step back and assume that he can, every single time he has risen to it and figured it out, and that's awesome. So that's something that we're all going to work on.
Hey Philip, are we going up? Up. You're right. Going way, way up.
Just getting started, I found that I personally had some fears and intimidation about thinking that I was going to do it wrong and that I would somehow get in the way of Philip's progress. But what I've learned is that you can just get in there and start using it in the way that your family normally communicates.
So your red train can go fast on the tracks. Woo! That went fast, didn't it? Wow, Sophie's blue train went very fast. Philip, do you want yours to go fast or slow? Show me which one.
Slow.
It's been a great week, and we're really excited about what's to come.
Thanks for watching.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. We're going to talk about another one, but I just want to underscore the importance of modeling, because one thing that really hit home for me when Erin was talking was that she just expected, or she would quiz her child and sort of expected him to know how to use the device and also how to use the software, so the communication system. But that wasn't setting up opportunities for him to succeed, and it became more of a hinder. The important thing is to give so many opportunities for language and to happen in real environments. And like she said, when she assumed that he could do something, he would rise to the occasion every time. And I think that that's really important to point out and underline. So now I'd like to take us to another video, and this one's a little more high energy. This video is called Cookies and Core, which I really enjoy, and it demonstrates, again, some other modeling opportunities and baking with two siblings. So it's a great example of how Erin is using a real-life situation to do modeling with Snap Core First, and also including other family members in that participation or in that modeling, doing an activity that is fun and engaging. So let's take a look.
Idalie.
Yeah?
Can I
yes.
just, because there were no translation at the first video, and I absolutely agree with you that there were some words said that need to be underlined. So please let me resume this part. Ponieważ nie pojawiły się tłumaczenia w poprzednim filmie, ale to, co mówiła Erin, czyli mama Filipa i Artura, to jest bardzo ważne. Ona uczy dzieci w domu, w związku z czym sama zobaczyła siebie, że ma taką tendencję, że pokazuje coś raz, a potem odpytuje. I tak samo odpytywała Filipa i Artura. I właśnie nawet powiedziała dokładnie, złapałam się na tym, że sprawdzam, bo jestem nauczycielem. A chodzi o to, żeby dawać jak najwięcej sposobności, możliwości, opcji, okazji do tego, żeby dziecko, użytkownik samo używało języka. I żeby to nastąpiło, musi być modelowanie cały czas w sytuacjach codziennych, w różnych okolicznościach. Pokazywanie, jak korzystać, a nie odpytywanie, nie testowanie. Do tego doszła sama mama i też ze wsparciem oczywiście, ale też to u siebie widziała. Tak, żeby dziecko mogło korzystać samo z tego sposobu komunikacji bez namawiania go. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I got so excited about the video that I maybe jumped a little bit too fast and should have given you an opportunity to to translate.
That's all right.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next one. And do you want to say anything here about what I mentioned, or do you want to take it at the end of the slide?
At the end. At the end.
Okay. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at the Core and Cookies video.
You make it go?
No.
Make it go. Yay! Good job, Philip. Do you know what we're going to make?
Make.
What are we going to make?
Make.
Do you know?
No.
You don't know?
No.
That's okay. I'll tell you. We're going to make cookies. Cookies. Do you love cookies? Mm-hmm. Russell, do you love cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go over here, because when we make our cookies, the first things, look, we're going to go to colors. Colors, because we're going to put in some brown sugar. Who wants to put in the brown sugar?
Me.
You do? Okay, Russell's going to put in the brown sugar. Very good. Philip, do you want to put in some sugar? Yes? Okay, let's look over here. There's one more sugar left. Let me show you. Here's the sugar that needs to go back. This is white.
White.
It's white sugar. And let's go to core. You can say, I want to put it in. Yes, good job. Okay, Philip, here. You can put it in. Yay, very good. All right. I think that it's time to use the mixer. This is going to be so cool. Are you ready to help?
Help.
Help. You're going to help with the mixer. Okay, so I'm going to hold it, and then you guys are going to make it go. Okay, I'm going to hold it here, and you guys just hold down that button. Make it go. Whee! What do you think? Gotta make it go, go, go.
Okay, so that was the Cookies and Core, which is a really fun and sweet video of how the family takes real life situations like baking and involves different members of the family as communication partners in this scenario or situation. And it's doing something that's fun, engaging, and you're using core words to help increase the participation of the communication user and also the language development. So now, Kasia, now it's up to you.
Thank you. Tak jak Państwo widzieliście, to jest taki uroczy, ale też bardzo uczący nas fragment filmu, pokazując sytuację domową, robienie ciasteczek i modelowanie. I to proszę zwrócić uwagę na to modelowanie jak różnych wypowiedzi. To, na co ja też zwróciłam uwagę od razu, to szczególnie dzisiaj przygotowując się do tych mitów AC-owych, rzuciło mi się to w oczy, że komunikaty płynące od Filipa, werbalne, dźwięki, cała postawa ciała jest cały czas brana pod uwagę przez mamę i super, także jest tutaj łączenie bardzo różnych kanałów komunikacyjnych i też zaangażowanie różnych członków rodziny.
So now we're going to look at how we take this evidence and make it into reality, and how does that work? So we're going to get into the software and customize the tools that support engagement. So the goals for Snap Core First are that it should be simple and transparent. You can get started easily with your account and login, and account and login, and editing is also very easy. And also you can find vocabulary in the vocabulary search tags, that's different words and symbols. So now we'll look at the organization. So the navigation button on the top works like it does in a browser. You never end up in any dead space or in a dead end. You're always one button away from core words. So it's very easy for a user to navigate. And also from any of the other main pages, you're always one button away. Toolbar is on the left-hand side, the column on the left-hand side. So now we're gonna finally get into the software, and we're gonna learn today how to set up a user. We're gonna look at the message window settings and take a look at the options there. We're going to select an access method and choose a grid size. We're going to search for vocabulary. We're going to learn how to sync, save, and share to users. And we're going to learn some of the really cool features and things that can be done with buttons. So let's dig in. And we're going to watch the first exercise that we're going to do is to watch a video on how to set up a user.
Let's set up Snap Plus Core First. First, open Snap Plus Core First on the user's device. The user setup wizard starts when you open Snap Plus Core First for the first time. We'll walk through it, then show you how to start it again if you want to set up a new user. Select Core First to facilitate engagement, literacy, and growth. Select the language of the page set here. Sign into mytobiidynavox.com now or later. Type in the name of the user. Pick a voice. Pick a grid size that the user can access accurately and will provide the most buttons for vocabulary. That's it. Setup is done. Want to set up a new user? Go through the Setup wizard again. Select the Edit button, the User tab, the name of your current user, and New User.
So here you can have more than one user if you're an educator or if you are a therapist or other professional. You can have multiple users for all of the different profiles for your different patients or students. Now we're going to look at the message window settings. So first, we click on we select the cogwheel at the top with the little pencil through it on the top right-hand corner. And then the menu pops up, select user. Then we'll see the preferences on the left-hand side. That's what we'll select. And there you can see all of the options for the message window settings. So you can have symbols in the message window if you would like to turn that on. You can highlight in the message window. You can also clear speech automatically after a message has been spoken. So there are a lot of different options there with using the message window settings. Okay, now we're going to select the access method. So first, we click on or select the edit button once again. And that brings up this menu where we will now select the user. And next, we'll select access method on the left, and we can see all of the different access options. So we have touch on enter, touch on exit, mouse dwell, gaze interaction, scanning, and so forth. And we're going to select touch in this case as our access method, and then we're done. And now we're going to learn to select a grid size. And while you're looking at this video, I might pause it to say a little bit something, but I'm going to just say it now. So when you're selecting a grid size, you can select a grid size either that is shared across all the pages and subpages on Snap Core First, or you can also select a grid size to be on one page only. I'll show you what that looks like later, but I just want you to have that in your mind while you're watching this video on how to select your grid size.
Change your grid size by selecting the Edit button, then the Page Set tab in the Editing panel. Select the Grid Size section. Pick a grid size that the user can access accurately and will provide the most buttons for vocabulary. Select Done, and your new grid size will be applied to all the pages in your page set.
Seems easy, right? We'll get in a little bit again later, and I'll show you how to change the grid size on just one page. Okay, so now we're going to search for vocabulary. And here we're going to learn the path to find that vocabulary, to see the subpages, and how to unhide a button. I'll also show you how to hide and unhide a button later in case it's not super obvious or super clear, so don't worry. but watch the video. And the good thing about this is that it's quite visual. So I'm sorry that it's not in Polish, but it's quite visual so that at least you can follow along. And I'll show you how to do that later. So let's get into the video and learn how to find vocabulary.
Select Search on the top bar. Type in the word, message, or keyword that you're looking for. Scroll through the options. Now you can cancel, select the X to type a different word, or tap one of the options. Snap plus Core First will highlight each step of navigation. Look for and tap the highlighted buttons or scroll indicators until you get to the word or message you selected.
New.
Sometimes you may select vocabulary that's in Core First, but hidden, like you see here. On Topic, Quickfire, and Word List pages, you can show these messages if you like. Open Edit Mode, scroll so you can see the button, select the button you want, then select Show. It is now available on this page segment by scrolling, or you can swap it with another button if you wish. Don't show these hidden buttons on Core or Keyboard pages. On Core pages, these words will either be shown as your grid size increases or in the plus buttons. The hidden buttons are already accessible from your keyboard.
So it's a great tool to find words or topics of interest to motivate the user, like bubbles. Kids love bubbles. It's an important element to, not bubbles, but being in a topic of interest is an important element to achieving success, that motivation. Today there's no Polish version of Snap Core First, but there is a good workaround. So you would search for a word in English and find the word that you're looking for. And then if you wanted to create a Polish version, you could change the label once you found the image that you like, change it to a Polish spelling, and then you can create your own, or edit to create your own Polish version. So
Idalie?
Yes? Yes.
Because we've got one very important question. And also
Yeah.
I would like to say that I think bubbles are very important.
They are.
Yeah. But the question is, what languages are represented in Snap? And we know, well, I can't say anything about Polish, but maybe we can say something about Russian.
So I think we have 16 languages today, and I don't remember all of them, but I will get into the software shortly, and I'll show you the languages that are available when we change or select language. But to memory, we have Russian will be launching later this year, so we're working on that. It's in development. We also have Croatian, I believe Italian, possibly Icelandic. The Icelandic version should already be available. Obviously English, but UK English, Australian English, as well as American English, Spanish. But those are just some off the top of my head. I'll show those to you later on so that you can see all of the languages that are available. Snap Core First is a very important resource for us, and we are working on localizing it. So there will be other languages like Russian coming out in our roadmap. So in the meantime, now we've looked at vocabulary and how to find it, and shows you you've now seen the different places where words can be found when you're doing the search, so that you are constantly shown the path, and that builds memory for where to find certain words, and it highlights the path to that word so you can learn it very easily. Did you want to say anything more, Kasia? Or were there any other questions?
No, we are fine. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to now look at syncing, saving, and sharing, which are really important tools that have they're two separate uses for them, and I'll get into those after the video. So first, let's take a look at the video.
Snap Core First offers several ways to save and share users, pages, and page sets. Let's take a look and learn when to use each. Back up an entire user as a safeguard just in case you need to restore it. Restore it by selecting New User here and entering the Setup wizard. Want to save or share individual pages you've made or edited? Export them to mytobiidynavox.com or a local drive. You can also share them directly with another mytobiidynavox.com user. Import them by selecting here. The page set includes the content and settings of every page in the user. Preserve it by saving a copy to mytobiidynavox.com or a local drive. Share the copy by sending it to others or giving it to them. You can also share it directly with another mytobiidynavox.com user using this feature. They will install it by selecting here. Now let's talk about syncing. Syncing allows you to use the same version of the page set on multiple devices with the same mytobiidynavox.com account. You can also share the page set with others using their mytobiidynavox.com accounts. Unlike copying, synced pages are connected to one another through an up-to-date version in the cloud. When you select Sync, you send changes you made to the cloud and receive the changes others made. When all the connected devices have synced, they all have the same version of the page set. This is beneficial for modeling, teaching, and customizing across environments. More information is available about syncing as well as other saving and sharing features on tobiidynavox.com under Support and Training.
Okay, so we've looked at syncing, saving, and sharing. Kasia, did you want to summarize anything here, or should I talk more in detail about it?
Please talk more in detail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there are some examples here of what that looks like. You can have a caseload of people that you're working with if you're a therapist, and you would need the email address of the user in their Tobii Dynavox account, and alerts are sent when an outside source would like to share content. So some examples are maybe a parent might make changes based on what's going on at home while the child is at school, or a therapist can remotely support changes to vocabulary. Teachers can update with curriculum content, and changes can be applied over the weekend when the child goes home. So that's a really nice way when you're using the email address of the user for the Tobii Dynavox account. And then we're gonna look at another scenario under, oh, sorry, I think I just combined slides. So in this case, let me take a step back. In this case, you have, I might need your help here, Kasia. Do you mind going over this slide for me? Because I think I may have said it incorrectly, and I might be able to, you might be able to recap what's on the slide better because it's in Polish.
Okay, with pleasure, but
Okay.
it was consistent from my point of view. Tak jak Państwo widzicie, tutaj synchronizacja, szczególnie dla zespołów, jeżeli ja sobie myślę o aktualnej sytuacji, w zasadzie też o aktualnej sytuacji, ale o tym, w jaki sposób w Polsce pracujemy w szkołach, że są IPET-y i jest cały zespół, który pracuje, każdy dokłada swoją cegiełkę, jest to w porozumieniu oczywiście z rodzicami. Wszystko można zsynchronizować, wejść sobie na, wszyscy mają ten sam login na Tobii Dynavox, żeby wesprzeć tym samym zestawem plansz i tymi samymi zmianami użytkownika. Okay, let's move on to the next slide.
Okay, so everyone here is using the same Tobii Dynavox account to share updates. So the next one is when you have a caseload of people that you support, and then you are using an email address of the user so that you are sharing the page set across different people. And you don't have the one page set syncing to everyone, you have different page sets that you're sending to individually. So an example here is a community speech and language pathologist who has a caseload across a different area, and she wants to make remote changes and updates for each of her clients or patients. And another might be a communication champion in a school who can support all the students without disrupting classroom routines or taking away the devices.
Let's stay a little bit here because I've realized I haven't translated the.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it's my fault, so I'm the one who is sorry here. Mamy synchronizację, czyli wszyscy mamy dostęp do tego samego konta i synchronizujemy całość dla użytkownika. Natomiast dzielenie się jest tutaj taka różnica, że jako na przykład logopeda albo terapeuta zajmujący się AAC w danej jednostce mogę tworzyć różne zestawy plansz i wysyłać je do różnych użytkowników. Nie synchronizować oczywiście, żeby wszyscy nie mieli tego samego zestawu plansz. Przepraszam Państwa, tutaj widzę, że przegapiłam dokładne tłumaczenie tego slajdu. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So when you go to mytobiedynavox.com, you will log into your account or create one if you haven't created one, and then log in. And there you can save any page sets that you've created or download any Snap Core First page sets from Page Set Central, which you can see in the green bar. There's a section called Page Set Central, and there you have a community where people share the page sets that they've created. And there are Snap Core First page sets created. There are some Polish, and one of the great things about this as a resource is that it's so much easier to take existing activities or material, things that other people have worked on, and browse through and find activities for inspiration. And then you can download them and you can edit them to make them your own. So it's a really great tool. But now we'll get into the Tobii Dynavox account. So here we're logged into our account. We can add page sets or upload page sets if we want to. And they'll appear here in the Snap Core First tab. And then you can also back up your page sets. So this is what that view looks like once you're in Snap Core First. And here you'll see any page sets that you have saved or uploaded. You should sync them to the cloud so that you always have a backup. And if you ever need to restore a device, or if you have bought a new device and you've upgraded, it's very important that you do a backup so that you can have any work that you've done on your new device or on the restored device. So that's just something very important to keep in mind. Okay, so now we're going to get into Snap Core First, and we're going to look at how to search for an image, how to hide and unhide a button. We're going to swap the position of a button. We're going to make buttons larger. Oops, sorry. We're going to copy two, and we're going to look at where the help and tutorial videos are inside Snap Core First, should you want them as a reference. So let's get in. to the software. And just bear with me while I bring that over to my other screen so that you can see it. Okay. And just bear with me 1 second, just so I can keep my place. Okay. All right. So we go into edit here at the top right. Now we're in edit mode, and we're just going to drag this up so that we can take a look. And here you can edit a button, the page that you're on, the page set. You can edit the user, you can choose a new user, or you can make changes to the system. So you can set a passcode if you like, so that so that someone needs to use a passcode in order to enter. Okay, and what I would like to show you is first how to change the size. So we don't make recommendations on changing the core words page necessarily, so I'll show you how to do that in topics. So now this is the topics tab, and we'll go into, see, the top 6 ones are topics that you can create and customize for whatever your activity is. It can be a book, it can be you're going camping and you want to talk about what you're going to do during camping to set expectations. It can be whatever you want it to be. So we're going to go into the first one, and I already made a button a while back, but now we're going to play around with it and see some of the things that we can do with that button. So I want to enlarge the button. I want it to be bigger. So I touch the button while we're in edit mode, and I make sure that I have button pressed. And now I want to make the button larger. So I select the button, and then I can just drag the corner. And now I have a larger button. Or maybe I want it to be even bigger. So I just drag it to the position that I want it to, and then that's the new button size. And some of the other things that we can do is I can have the button label, read mom and her 2 kids, or maybe I can have some fun and put in my name, Idalie, and kids. And then in the message, I want the label to say one thing, but I want the spoken message to be something else. So I will say the Fernandezes, and this is going to be a really fun experiment on whether Snap Core First completely says my name wrong, and it probably will. So that's going to be fun because I have a very unusual name, and we're in the English Snap Core First. So the Fernandez family at the beach. And that's what I wanted to say. And we know that because we have the audio cue or the action here that we select. Okay, so the audio cue, it will know to say Fernandez family at the beach. So now we're gonna just save that by clicking done. And I'm gonna select the button that we've created.
The Fernandez family at the beach.
Not too bad, actually. So now, I'm sort of thinking about it, and I think I don't want the button to be that size. We can always undo our action. So we're here on the right-hand side, we have another toolbar, and we just click undo. And actually, I'm gonna just drag this up real quick. Open the menu, select the button, which is a key thing. And let's see. And it should undo the last action. Okay, so let's try another one so that you can see how that works. And we'll do 2 things here. One is we're going to search for a word. So I want to create a new button, and I'm going to click on the symbol, and I'm going to type in the word beach. And now when I do type in that word, all of the images that have been tagged with beach, so this is part of the system, it will populate here, and I can choose the right one for me, which is the right word that I want for beach, and I think I like this one. So we're going to select that one. But if I wanted to, I could also take a picture with my camera or the device camera, or I could and for fun, we're gonna write, we like the beach as the message that's spoken. And, oh, but I accidentally made an error and I typed the wrong thing. So now we're going to undo. And now the error, I wrote we like the beaches and I meant to write we like the beach. So I hit undo and the last two letters that I didn't want have gone away. It's undone. I will make it bigger, and I will now also hold the button with a long press, and you see how the button grays out. So now I'm going to swap the position because I actually want it over here. And so now I've done that. And if I want, I can hold a long hold again, and once it grays out, I can move it back. But I don't like how that worked, so now I'm going to try to undo again, and now it moves back to the original position that I had it. And I'm going to undo again because actually I like it as, I want it in its original size as well. So now you see how easy that is, and just to try out the speaking function, we'll hit done, we'll select the button.
We like the beach.
We like the beach. So that works. So now we're going to go back into the edit menu and we're going to select the button again. And maybe there's content that we want to hide. We talked a little bit earlier about the different growth strategies, and maybe there are buttons that you want to hide. And so here we're going to select buttons that we want to hide. And maybe we want to multi-select. So we're going to check that off. And we're going to select all the buttons that we...
The Fernandez family at.
We're going to select all the buttons that we want to hide. And we want them hidden. So we're going to click here. Now they've grayed out. And now these buttons are hidden. So we'll go back into the menu. And we'll undo what we just did. So now the buttons are no longer hidden. Okay. Okay, we've just searched for a symbol that we want to use. We've changed the label or added a label and made it audible with a different message. We've swapped the buttons in a different position, and we've also changed the size of them. And I also want to show you where you can learn more. So if you go back into the edit menu and you go to system, over on the left-hand side, you can click help and tutorials. And there are videos here that also help you get started, in addition to our YouTube page. Okay, another thing I had promised to show you was how to change a page size, the grid on a page size, as opposed to the entire page set universally. So we're going to go to page now, and we're going to select grid size. And right now it says that the entire grid size through the entire Snap Core First through all pages is set to 7 by 7. So we're going to say no, we don't want to match that. We want this particular page, which is topics 1, to have a different grid size. So we'll change it to 3 by 4. Yeah, let's do 3 by 4. And we click done or select done. And now you can see that the grid size on this particular page has changed. And we're going to go back into the Core Words menu so that you can see that that is still in the original grid size. So once again, we were in topics, topic 1, and we changed the grid size there. And I think we have now covered all of the changes that we wanted to make in Snap Core First. Oops. Okay, so now we'll move along to what we've learned today. So our goals were to set up a user, which we've learned how to do. We've looked at the message window. We've looked at the message window settings. We've selected an access method. We've chosen a grid size, either on an individual page or universally. We've searched for vocabulary. We've learned how to sync, save, and share, and the different options there depending on the user's need. And we've learned some of the features actually that you can do with buttons. So we've done all that today, and I also want to share, oh, maybe Kasia wants to say something, so I'll give her a chance to do that before my excitement takes over.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. So then we talked a little bit about some of the resources that are available to you. Like PageSet Central, which is at your disposal to find creativity, to find inspiration and ideas and page sets that other people have created, and you can make them your own. We do have pages in Polish, in Snap Core First, as well as in Communicator, so please feel free to use that. Also, if you're interested in learning more about Snap Core First, there is an English Snap Core First community page on Facebook where users share with each other different things that they're doing, and they ask each other questions, and it's a really nice environment for learning some cool tips and tricks from each other. And it's on Facebook, it's Snap Plus Core First English, but yeah, it's Snap Core First. We also have our YouTube channel with how-to videos that you can reference, and the tutorial and help section inside Snap Core First, which you saw. I know Kasia will want to say something here, so actually I will let Kasia tell you all of the great things that she can offer you. You're up, Kasia.
Thank you. Tak jak Państwo widzieliście, zapraszamy na My Tobii Dynavox. Tam można dzielić się materiałami, można pobierać materiały. To jest darmowe miejsce. Zapraszamy na Facebooka, na grupę dyskusyjną Tobii Dynavox. To akurat jest po angielsku. Ja zapraszam ze swojej strony na Atabi Komunikację. To możemy dla Państwa zrobić i co robimy zarówno kiedy jest pandemia, jak i kiedy jej nie ma. Konsultacje i testy i online, i na żywo. Pokazy produktów w szkołach, w przedszkolach, wśród grup rodziców też, czy w gabinetach prywatnych. Kliniki, czyli przyjeżdżamy ze sprzętem, umawiamy konkretnie dzieci i rozmawiamy o ich potrzebach, sprawdzamy, jakie narzędzia są dla nich najlepsze, wymieniamy się doświadczeniami. Szkolenia online i nie tylko online, i wypożyczenia sprzętów, oczywiście pokazy też produktów. Jesteśmy jak najbardziej otwarci na rozmowy z zespołami terapeutów, z nauczycielami, rady pedagogiczne, także cokolwiek tutaj w jakikolwiek sposób możemy Państwa wesprzeć, to zapraszamy i oczywiście mamy w stałej ofercie te wszystkie produkty, o których dzisiaj mówiła Idalie i dużo więcej, wszystkie rzeczy, które dotyczą komunikacji wspomagającej i alternatywnej. I tutaj jest adres do mnie bezpośrednio mailowy kasia@atabi.pl, a do firmy info@atabi.pl. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I know it seems like we're done, but we're not. We have a few more things up our sleeve that we want to share with you today. So just bear with us a little bit longer, and I promise it will be worthwhile. Okay, so I promised you also that I would talk about how Snap Core First works with Boardmaker. So there's a new feature in Snap Core First where it can or will be able to play activities from Boardmaker, which is great for consistency both in school, home environments, as well as in therapy. So we're just going to take a quick look at that. We provide a path of consistency with templates, curriculum, activities, and vocabulary, and they're reinforced where they're reinforced, and it can be printed and it can be used on an interactive device. So you've got everything from low tech to high tech available for the user for different environments, because you're not going to take your medical grade iSeries device to the beach. It's just maybe not something that you want to do. So you have all different options to create materials for the users. You can play Core First, specific Core First activities in Snap Core First, and I'll show you some examples of core learning activities that reinforce language learning, like sorting and building sentences, and these can be created in Boardmaker and played in Snap Core First. These activities can be used at home, school, therapy sessions, either remotely or in person. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. Okay, and at some examples. So here we've got a matching game that you can play in Core First, and it is interactive. It's a great way to build vocabulary and associations. And here we can also create books on any topic using symbols or images. You can print them, you can play them in Snap Core First on your Indie, your iPad with SpeechCase, or on your eye tracking devices as well. So good for different environments and different topics. You can customize them and make them your own. And here we've got a schedule, which is great to help create or to provide expectations of the day's activities, so you know what you are going to cover. And lastly is WordWeb, so another tool for building core learning and core words. It promotes language understanding and development, and here we're talking about which of these has to do with plants, so the user can decide. So we've gone through our agenda today and our ecosystem of resources and using our symbols throughout all of our software to provide the user with a consistent environment with a support network of communication partners, therapists, educators, family, everyone, and the communication system that the user is going to use across all access methods available to support their language development and learning. So of course, now we have one last thing that we want to share with you, and then we'll take a quick Menti after that for your feedback. But here is, like, I feel like I need a little bit of a drum roll. You hear that? So this is just for you. It's coming later this year. We will have Snap Core First in Polish, and we're in the developmental stages with it. So there's no official set time, but we expect the release to be before the end of the year, and it's coming to you. And we have a Polish PCS library filled with culturally contextual symbols so that a user can participate not only in everyday traditions in life, but also in news, what's going on in the world. So I just wanted to start a little video here. It doesn't have sound, so you'll just have to watch what's happening on the screen to understand. So just take a look here. And I probably should have played the video first, but I got too excited. So here you're seeing word prediction as well, which is a really nice way to make language communication more efficient. So there's typing letters, and then you see on the blue line up at top, the word prediction will come up. And as the user uses this more, the typing feature, the word prediction algorithms work to fill in those words to make that communication more efficient. So I totally got ahead of myself with my excitement in sharing this and didn't let you watch the video until later. But anyway, it's super exciting. We do already have some users in Poland using Snap Core First. I saw earlier in the chat when I could see it that there was a mom of a young woman or a little girl with Rett who uses Snap Core First. And I'm really glad to hear or to see that it works well for you. So soon you'll be able to have your entire Snap Core First available in Polish. And by soon, I mean within this year. Okay, so that was the big exciting news. Kasia, did you want to recap on that, or you think it's okay?
I believe it's okay. I'm super excited as well. W tym roku ma się pojawić polski Snap. Tak jak Państwo widzicie, to już są pierwsze zrzuty. Pracujemy nad tym ciężko i staramy się, żeby był jak najszybciej, ale też w jak najwyższej jakości dostarczony do Państwa, także proszę pozostać w kontakcie.
Okay, so just one last thing is we would love your feedback, please. If you could tell us what you benefited most from today or what you liked about today, that would be really helpful for us. And I'll show you how you can do that on the next slide. So here is the Menti information again.
Dobrze, ostatnia rzecz dzisiaj. Bardzo poprosimy Państwa o ponowne wejście na menti.com i tym razem kod 259188. Ja już ten kod piszę. Momencik. 20... Kod Don Menti 25 91 88, bo kod Don Menti. Będzie nam bardzo miło. I just wrote the code down at the chat because I never remember those codes.
259188.
25 91 88. Także zapraszamy na Menti i będzie nam bardzo miło, jeżeli Państwo podzielicie się z nami tym, co według Państwa było najbardziej wartościowe na dzisiejszym spotkaniu i jak się Państwu podobało, i wszelkie informacje zwrotne, czy w języku polskim, czy w języku angielskim, czy w języku rosyjskim. Wszystko dla nas ma wielkie znaczenie. Także czekamy na informacje od Państwa. Można skorzystać 25, 91, 88.
Oops.
Nie, źle. Teraz ja coś źle wpisałam.
There we go.
Także czekamy na informacje zwrotne. Dziękujemy za nie. Super, bardzo dziękujemy. Jeżeli jeszcze ktoś chce coś dodać.
It's really fun to see the word cloud.
It is. I love it. O, cudownie jest to widzieć.
So one of the fun things about it is that the words that are used the most often are bigger in size. So the frequency of the word, if many people are using the same one to describe, are that it grows in size to show you that it's frequently used. But because it's bilingual, I think all the words have equal weight. And so it's kind of fun to see that.
It's actually, we've got 3 languages here. Because
3 languages?
Yes, we've got also Russian.
Ah, yeah, I just saw something. Okay, very cool. So thank you guys. We have more webinars coming up on different topics with Communicator 5. There we go. We've got one bigger one now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I hope it's good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Ah, thank you. Okay. So now let's just show you real quick some of the webinars that we have coming up in case you would like to join one of those. So May 19th, we've got, and this is more, I would say, for the first 2 on this list are more for literate users. That's the focus. So we'll talk about Windows Access in Communicator 5 on May 19th. And on May 27th, we'll talk about message banking and the partner window. And those topics are because we are, May is ALS Awareness Month. And so we want to have some topics that are appropriate in honor of ALS Awareness Month. And then on June 1st is, it's Children's Day. And so we're going to have a session that is around games. So we hope you can join us at any of our sessions, definitely on June 1st. Hope to see you there. And lastly, I just want to, or almost lastly, is a huge thank you to Kasia at Atabi for organizing the webinar today. If you need anything, if you have any questions about how to get Snap Core First or Boardmaker, she is your person, and you're in great hands with her. So she will help you immediately buy the software and have access to it. So if anything, if you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to Kasia, and I'm in the background if anything is needed, so she'll let me know. And from both Kasia and me, thank you again to everyone for joining us today. We wish you and your families and your friends to remain healthy and safe, and we hope to meet you in person, or I hope to meet you in person in the not so distant future, but in the meantime, we'll be seeing you virtually.
Thank you. Dziękujemy Państwu bardzo. Ja zapraszam ze swojej strony do kontaktu z nami, do kontaktu z Atabi, ze mną. Proszę pamiętać, że są dofinansowania cały czas na sprzęty, na oprogramowanie do komunikacji. Też pomożemy tutaj wskazać drogę. Zapraszamy na nasze media społecznościowe, do kontaktu mailowego, telefonicznego i na webinaria. Tam Idalie. Dziękujemy. Dziękujemy bardzo Pani Marto. Spasiba, Tatiana, nie jestem pewna, bardzo się chciałam gdzieś nauczyć rosyjskiego, ale dziękuję, thank you. Dziękujemy serdecznie Państwu za obecność, zapraszamy na przyszłe webinaria, 19, ponieważ maj jest miesiącem szerzenia informacji, świadomości dotyczącej stwardnienia zajękowego bocznego, więc pod tym kątem też mamy przyszłe kawy z Tobii Dynavox, czyli 19 maja będzie o sterowaniu Windowsem za pomocą oczu i potem o banku komunikatów, bardzo ważna rzecz. 27-20 maja mamy mocowania, a 1 czerwca już mamy 300 osób chętnych na gry i zabawy dla dzieci. So thank you very much. Thank you, Idalie, so much for your amazing work today and for being with us again. we've got, I'm not sure if you've checked recently, but we've got over 300 participants for Children's Day webinar.
Wow, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a lot of fun that day.
Well, thank you so much. And yes, I would like just to ask you to get a screenshot from the Menti so we could share it with everyone.
Absolutely. I will bring it back up so that we can see it. And then we can also take a screenshot. So, can you see that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Dziękujemy bardzo serdecznie za Państwa życzliwość, cierpliwość i aktywne uczestnictwo. Z dużą częścią z Państwa widzę się o godzinie 18. Dzisiaj zapraszamy. Dziękuję bardzo. Jeżeli pojawią się pytania, proszę pozostać w kontakcie.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording and